My friend, I want you to close your eyes for a moment and take a deep breath. Inhale, strength. Exhale, doubt. Now listen closely, because what I am about to share with you may just change the way you carry yourself through the storms of life. You were not born to cower in the shadow of adversity. You were not meant to tremble before misfortune, nor fold when the winds of hardship blow. Within you lies something sacred, something powerful beyond your current awareness, a silent fortress that no man, no failure, no defeat can ever tear down unless you yourself permit it. I am here today to remind you of that truth, to teach you not only how to stand firm when life tests you, but how to act as if nothing can break you until the very idea of being broken becomes a thing of the past. There is a peculiar strength in poise, my friend, a commanding calmness that comes not from arrogance, but from inner mastery. To the average man, it may appear as though you are unaffected, untouched, perhaps even indifferent to the blows life delivers. But I tell you now, this posture is not apathy, it is power. It is the unmistakable result of an individual who has made a quiet decision deep within their soul that no matter what occurs externally, their spirit shall not be shaken. This is the foundation of all personal greatness. It is not the loud who conquer life, it is the steady, not the rash, but the resolute, not the dramatic, but the disciplined. Those who learn to act unbreakable often become so, not by magic, but by mastery. There are moments in life when you will be tempted to show the world your pain, to cry out and let your suffering be known to all who will listen, and there is nothing shameful in doing so. But if you wish to rise to a higher level of living, if you desire to command your future like a captain commands his ship, you must begin to develop the ability to endure with dignity, to walk through the fire and emerge not only unharmed but undisturbed. You do this not by ignoring your wounds, but by transcending them. You may acknowledge them in private, tend to them in solitude, but when you walk out into the world, you wear your confidence like armor, not to impress, but to protect your spirit from the petty judgments of the untrained eye. Let me tell you this, a man who learns to govern his reactions is a man who begins to govern his destiny. The masses are ruled by emotion, tossed about by every wave of disappointment, insult, or delay. They do not walk the path of greatness. They are dragged by the forces of life, pleading for mercy from circumstances they refuse to master. But you are not like them. You are a thinker, a seeker, a creator. You are here to learn how to live by inner law, not outer noise. The most dangerous force in your life is not what happens around you. It is how you choose to respond. And once you take ownership of your inner world, the outer world begins to bend in response. To act unbreakable is not to pretend that nothing bothers you. It is to train your mind to rise above that which seeks to weaken you. It is not a denial of reality, but a command over interpretation. When others see obstacles, you see training. When others complain of hardship, you see opportunity to grow your will. When others react with fear, you respond with presence. This is what separates the strong from the scattered, the victorious from the victims. The world will always offer you excuses to fall apart, but greatness begins the moment you start choosing reasons to remain intact. Understand this, calmness is a weapon, and the one who remains calm under pressure is the one who can see clearly while others lose their way. If you can remain composed when chaos arises, you gain the advantage of thought, clarity, and measured response. You begin to operate not as a pawn of life, but as a strategist of your own future. Calmness does not mean inactivity, it means controlled energy. It means choosing when and how to strike, never wasting a single motion, never allowing emotion to dictate action. This is the mark of power. And so I ask you today, what would happen if you began to live as if nothing could break you? How would your posture change? How would your voice sound? How would your decisions shift? if you believed deeply, unshakably, that no matter what happened, you would endure, you would overcome, and you would emerge stronger than ever before. Let me tell you what would happen. Life would begin to change for you. Not immediately, not overnight, but steadily. Because the world does not respond to weakness, it responds to will. People will treat you differently. Opportunities will arrive that once eluded you. Challenges that used to terrify you will shrink before your steady gaze. Why? Because you will no longer be reacting, you will be creating. And creation is the ultimate act of strength. The moment you stop flinching, the moment you stop retreating, the world sees you differently. It recognizes that you are no longer prey, you are presence. That you are no longer begging for peace, you are embodying it. And once you master this art, life becomes a canvas, not a battlefield. Now let us pause here before we go further. Breathe again. Look within. Know that the journey ahead will ask something of you. It will ask for your patience, your discipline, your faith. But I promise you this, it will give you back something far greater in return. A self that no storm can shatter, a confidence that no critic can touch, a peace that no chaos can dissolve. This is only the beginning, but already the seed is planted. The strongest man is not the one who strikes with anger, but the one who holds stillness while the world screams for his reaction. When the average man is offended, he flares up and demands justice, but the man who understands power knows this truth. Most battles are not worth fighting. Most insults are not worth receiving. The truly wise do not chase respect, they generate it through presence. And the most compelling presence is always rooted in the unshakable. So today I invite you to begin your own quiet revolution, not against others, but against the parts of yourself that break too easily, react too quickly, and doubt too often. You must train your emotions like a warrior trains his sword, disciplined, sharp, and always under control. There will be days when your composure will be tested, days when people will misunderstand you, question your intentions, or doubt your worth. These are not tragedies, they are trials. And every trial is a test of your personal leadership. Will you rise to the level of the moment or sink into the reactive depths of old conditioning? The man who acts like nothing can break him does not need to prove himself to the world. He proves himself to himself every day by refusing to bend before emotion, circumstance, or judgment. It is a quiet power, one that does not need applause to feel alive. You see, when you live for the approval of others, you become enslaved to their opinions. One harsh word and you crumble. One disapproving glance and your confidence evaporates. But when your approval comes from within, no external voice can mute your power. The world cannot break what it does not build. So why allow it to hold the keys to your peace? The unbreakable mindset begins with this declaration: my calm belongs to me. My strength is mine to command. My peace is earned, not borrowed. And the moment you believe that deeply, you begin to move differently in the world. The man who believes in himself walks taller, not in arrogance, but in assurance. He is not disturbed by gossip or delay. He does not shout to be heard, nor argue to prove a point. His energy speaks before his words. His presence is his proof. That is who you are becoming. Not someone who shouts louder, but someone who no longer needs to shout at all. Silence becomes your strength. Restraint becomes your reputation. And while others wrestle for attention, you rise by design. Let me offer you something vital here. Resilience is not born in comfort. It is forged in difficulty. If you are currently going through a period of hardship, good. Let it shape you. Let it show you what you're made of. For a man cannot become unbreakable unless he is first bent, tested, and refined. Stop wishing for an easier life. Wish instead for greater strength. Wish for deeper roots. Wish for the kind of character that can walk through fire and emerge without the smell of smoke. Because once you become that man, nothing, no failure, no betrayal, no loss can truly shake you. You will rise not in spite of hardship, but because of it. You must learn to treat discomfort as an ally. When your back is against the wall, that is when your greatest growth occurs. That is when clarity dawns. You begin to see what truly matters. Not what they say, not what they think, not even what they expect, but what you decide. You take ownership of your path. You stop asking for permission, and when the world sees that you will not flinch, it begins to step aside. In your journey to become unbreakable, you must also learn the art of delayed reaction. The man who is quick to anger, quick to sorrow, quick to fear, he is a puppet of emotion. But the one who waits, who breathes, who pauses before speaking, that man is a master. Why? Because reaction is cheap. Anyone can react, but only a few can respond with thought, with discipline, with precision, and it is that precision that shapes lives. Do not respond to the world as a reflex. Respond as a creator, with intent and clarity. The more you delay your reaction, the more control you reclaim. Now let me speak of doubt, for it is the silent assassin of potential. Doubt will tell you that you are not ready. It will whisper that you are not worthy. It will remind you of every failure, every rejection, every flaw. But I say to you, doubt is not a warning sign. It is a doorway. Every man who has ever achieved greatness has walked through the door of doubt. And what did they find on the other side? Not certainty, but courage. Courage to act despite uncertainty. Courage to move while afraid. Courage to show up again and again with dignity and faith until the world could no longer ignore them. If you want to act like nothing can break you, you must start treating fear not as a stop sign, but as a signal that you're on the edge of growth. Don't run from it. Don't hide. Face it with grace. Look it in the eyes and say, I may feel fear, but fear does not control me. I lead now, and you will be amazed at what unfolds. This is how you take back your power, not with rage, not with resistance, but with poise, with practice, with principles that anchor your soul in something deeper than circumstance. You must become so grounded, so internally fortified that no external event can shake your foundation. That is not a fantasy, that is a decision, and you can make that decision right now. There is a kind of strength that never shows itself in loud voices or dramatic gestures. It does not boast or beg, it does not shout, it does not scramble. This strength is quiet, so quiet, in fact, that most people miss it. But the wise, the truly wise, know its power. It is the stillness of the mountain that cannot be moved, the silence of deep waters that hold secrets far older than time. This is the strength I want you to carry, a strength so still, so calm, that even in chaos you remain composed, not because life is easy, but because you are anchored deep within yourself. When a man learns stillness, he becomes impenetrable. The world may swirl around him like a storm, but inside there is peace. Stillness does not mean inactivity. It means clarity. It means that your mind is not at the mercy of every passing emotion, not yanked and pulled by every wave of opinion. When you are still, you are sovereign. And in that sovereignty, you find the freedom that others are desperately searching for in the external world. Stillness is not a lack of movement. It is the presence of groundedness. And once you become grounded, you become great. So many people move through life in a frenzy, chasing, reacting, comparing. They think the louder they are, the more power they hold. But I ask you, when has noise ever equaled wisdom? When has flailing ever equaled control? The most powerful man in the room is often the one who speaks the least, the one who listens more than he speaks, the one who waits, watches, and strikes with precision. This kind of power is not taught in schools. It is cultivated in solitude. It is born from self-awareness. It is sharpened through restraint. Do not underestimate what you build in silence. when no one is watching, when no one is applauding, those are the moments that define your character. That is when you learn to endure, to focus, to discipline your thinking. The world may never see that work, but it will feel it. Your actions will carry a different weight. Your words will hit with a deeper resonance. Your presence will no longer ask for attention. It will command it. Why? Because you no longer need anything outside of yourself to validate your worth. Now let me share a truth that has been hidden in plain sight. Emotions are not facts. Feelings are not reality. They are weather, passing clouds across the sky of your mind. And just as you would not cancel your entire life because of a storm, you must not derail your path because of a single bad day. When emotions rise, let them pass. Breathe through them, watch them. Do not become them. The moment you begin to observe instead of absorb, you step into mastery. You become the sky, not the storm. When you act like nothing can break you, you become less reactive and more deliberate. You stop taking things personally. You stop needing everyone to understand you. You begin to choose peace over performance. This is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength, the kind of strength that smiles when provoked, that remains silent when insulted, that speaks only when words will build, not break. And let me tell you something, my friend. This kind of strength is rare, but it is within your reach. There is no need to pretend you do not feel pain. That is not what it means to be unbreakable. What it means is that your pain no longer dictates your path. You feel it, you understand it, and then you rise above it. You learn from it, but you do not wear it as your identity. You begin to see every wound as a window, every loss as a lesson. You no longer say, "Why me?" You begin to ask, "What can this teach me?" And in that moment, you stop being a victim of life. You become a student of strength. Consider this. Every great man you admire has suffered. Every legend, every icon, every hero has faced trials that would break the average man. What separates them is not the absence of pain, but their relationship to it. They used it. They transformed it. They let it build them instead of bury them, and so can you. But it requires a decision to stop retreating and start rising, a decision to stop flinching and start focusing, a decision to stop explaining yourself to the world and begin proving yourself only to yourself. You will not always feel strong. There will be days when your knees shake and your voice cracks. But even on those days, you can still carry yourself with dignity. Even in weakness, you can choose discipline. Even in uncertainty, you can hold a steady gaze. This is what it means to act like nothing can break you. Not that you are invincible, but that you are immovable. Not because you never fall, but because you never stay down. Let the world throw what it will. Let people say what they want. Let circumstances twist and turn. None of it matters more than the decision you make right now to remain centered, to remain still, to remain in command of your state, your soul, your direction. And once you have made that decision, once it lives in your breath and your bones, you become untouchable, not in the eyes of others, but in the eyes of your own reflection. And that, my friend, is the only approval that ever truly matters. There is no greater royalty in life than the man who governs himself, a man who commands his thoughts, his moods, and his movements. He wears a crown not made of gold, but of discipline. That crown is invisible to the naked eye, yet all who encounter him feel its weight. He need not proclaim it. He need not raise his voice. His calm speaks louder than shouts. His consistency speaks louder than promises. When you begin to govern yourself, you take the throne of your own existence. And let me tell you, my friend, that throne is vacant in most people's lives, waiting for the rightful king or queen to rule. The majority live as slaves to their own impulses. Their days are dictated by moods, their paths detoured by opinions, their peace held hostage by outside noise. But you, if you are willing, can rise above this chaos. You can choose structure where others choose scattering. You can choose response over reaction. You can choose growth over gratification. And in that choice, you create separation. You begin to distinguish yourself not through loud declarations, but through quiet control. Your self-command becomes your signature. Understand this. Your energy is the most valuable currency you have. Where you invest it determines the quality of your life. Most people spend their energy in arguments, distractions, and battles that do not matter. They lose their fire in proving points, defending egos, and chasing validation. And what do they receive in return? Emptiness, regret, exhaustion. But when you redirect your energy inward into self-mastery, into building, into becoming, you begin to generate a power that others feel without you ever needing to explain it. Let go of the need to prove yourself. The man who acts like nothing can break him is not interested in applause. He is interested in alignment. He is not moved by temporary noise. He is guided by eternal principles. His worth is not measured by trends, nor is his identity for sale in the marketplace of popularity. He walks alone, if necessary, not in bitterness, but in clarity, because he knows true confidence does not require company. It only requires conviction. And conviction, my friend, is born from knowing who you are when no one is watching. It is the unshakable belief that your values are not negotiable, that your vision does not waver, that your mission is sacred. When you live with conviction, you do not chase every opportunity, you wait for alignment. You do not argue over every disagreement, you let silence speak. You do not get caught in the noise of the moment, you remain anchored in the voice of your purpose. And that voice, when obeyed, leads you to greatness. Now, I must speak to you of consistency, for it is the companion of conviction. You cannot act unbreakable for a day and expect transformation. This is a daily walk. A deliberate repetition of right choices, a patient layering of character upon character, action upon action, until your life becomes a fortress. Do not seek the rush of dramatic improvement. Seek instead the quiet rise of sustained excellence. A man who commits to one good decision daily will build more power in a year than the man who chases intensity without discipline. Every morning, ask yourself, who am I becoming by the way I carry myself today? Not someday, not eventually, today. Do I speak with grace? Do I move with purpose? Do I respond with calm? If not, I do not scold myself, I correct myself. I realign. I remember that mastery is not the absence of failure, it is the presence of awareness and the refusal to stay where you fell. And in that process, strength is born, not overnight, but through steadfast repetition. You must also learn the power of boundaries, not as barriers, but as protectors of peace. You do not have to answer every call. You do not have to explain your silence. You do not have to justify your values to those who mock growth. The unbreakable man does not dilute his vision to fit into smaller minds. He holds his frame. He honors his energy. He moves with such integrity that even his absence commands respect. You are not here to be available to chaos. You are here to be available to destiny. This is the quiet revolution of strength, when you begin to filter your actions through the lens of who you are becoming, not through who others expect you to be. You must not seek to be liked by all. You must seek to be aligned with truth, and truth, my friend, is often lonely, but it is never lost. The man who walks with truth may walk alone for a time, but in the end, he walks with peace. And peace is worth every step of the lonely road. Never forget, it is not life circumstances that shape you, it is how you respond to them. Every setback, every delay, every insult, it is raw material. You are the sculptor. You can use it to build walls of resentment or temples of resilience. And once you understand this, you begin to look at pain not with fear, but with purpose. You say, let it come. I will use this. I will grow through this. I will not be broken. I will be built. And with each day that you live this truth, the world begins to see something unshakable in your eyes. Let us now turn inward to the deeper sanctum where all lasting transformation begins, not in the noise of the external world, but in the discipline of the inner self. For no man can walk as unbreakable until he has trained himself to bow to something higher within. That higher self is not loud, it is not forceful, it whispers, only when you are still enough to hear it. And so the first great act of power is not to conquer the world, but to conquer the chaos within, to calm the storms of self-doubt, insecurity, and fear that roar within the mind when silence falls. For the man who can master his internal climate becomes untouchable in any external one. What is discipline if not the daily honoring of your highest potential, not out of pressure, but out of reverence? The man who disciplines his thoughts is not suppressing his humanity. He is refining it. He is saying, I know who I could be if I allowed my emotions to run wild, but I choose not to. I choose mastery. This is not about perfection. It is about the pursuit of something nobler than comfort. For comfort weakens the will, but purpose sharpens it. And when you live with purpose, discipline is no longer a burden, it is a blessing. You must learn to speak to yourself as a king speaks to a kingdom, with vision, with order, with clarity. There is no room in your inner court for voices that sabotage your sovereignty. You are not here to entertain the opinions of fear. You are here to rise, and each time you choose discipline over distraction, presence over panic, courage over comfort, you are rising. Slowly, yes, but surely. Do not despise small steps, for small steps taken every day lead to powerful places. Mountains are not moved by explosions. They are reshaped by the persistence of wind and water. So too is your character reshaped by the quiet consistency of your choices. There is a difference between reacting and responding. Reaction is the mark of the untrained mind. It is automatic, it is impulsive, it is loud, but response? It is measured. It is born in reflection, it is thoughtful, and it is this quality that separates the reactive from the powerful. When you respond, you reclaim time. You slow the world down. You remove urgency from the unimportant. You create space to think, to breathe. Every time you respond instead of react, you send a message to the universe. I am no longer moved by circumstance. I move with purpose. Let us speak also of emotion, for it is often misunderstood. Emotion is not the enemy, it is a messenger. It reveals to you what matters. But the man who is ruled by emotion is like a ship with no anchor, no direction. He is lost at sea, dragged by every current of feeling. But the man who acknowledges his emotions, respects them, then chooses his response, he is the captain. He reads the winds, he notes the tides, but he chooses his course. This is emotional sovereignty, and it is essential if you are to act like nothing can break you. You must be very deliberate about what you allow into your mind. Your attention is your power. Every thought you entertain feeds something, either your fear or your faith. The unbreakable man does not indulge in thoughts that weaken him. He feeds his mind with discipline, with vision, with truth. He guards his attention like a fortress, allowing only what strengthens to pass through its gates. And when doubt knocks, he does not let it settle. He speaks to it. He says, you are not welcome here. I am no longer the man who entertains what tears me down. I build now. I rise now. You will not always feel strong, that is the truth, but you can always act strong. And in acting strong, you summon real strength. The body follows the posture of the mind. Walk upright, speak clearly, move with intent. These things may seem small, but they are not. They are the physical language of inner leadership. You must carry yourself like the person you are becoming, not the person you were. Not the person they expect, but the person you have decided to be. That decision must live in your gestures, in your gaze, in your tone. You do not need to explain yourself when your life begins to express itself through disciplined action. Let go of the need to be understood by all. Most will not see your vision until it is complete. Do not bend your frame to fit their comfort. The unbreakable man stands firm, not because he is inflexible, but because he knows his roots. He knows his direction. He knows that bending for every breeze eventually leads to being snapped by the storm. You must be rooted in principle, even when the winds of opinion blow strong, especially then. For it is in the winds that your roots deepen. There will be moments when silence is your strongest answer, not because you are afraid to speak, but because your power is too sacred to waste. You do not fight every battle. You do not chase every argument. You do not justify your peace. You protect it. You preserve it. Because you know peace is not given, it is built. And once built, it must be guarded. The man who has peace is the richest man alive. And the man who can carry peace into chaos, he is a king among men. This is what you are building day by day, a kingdom within, a fortress of mind, body, and spirit, not to escape life, but to shape it, not to hide from the world, but to walk through it unshaken. The world does not need more noise. It needs more presence, and presence comes from power, quiet power, earned power, self-governed, self-chosen power. And that power, my friend, now lives in you. You must understand deeply and finally that presence is the most magnetic force you can carry into any room. It is not found in your words, though words can move. It is not in your clothes, though presentation has its place. True presence flows from alignment, when who you are, what you believe, and how you act exist in harmony. You cannot fake this. You cannot purchase this. It cannot be gifted or inherited. Presence is earned, and it is earned through the quiet, daily, uncompromising discipline of becoming your truest self. When a man is present, fully, wholly, without distraction, he commands the room without saying a word. Because presence speaks louder than performance. You can feel when someone is rooted, when they are not reaching, not performing, not chasing. They are simply there, fully, honestly. And when you develop that level of groundedness, you stop needing attention, you begin to attract it. Because there is nothing more rare in this chaotic world than a human being who is truly here, truly still, truly aligned. Presence is also a decision. It is the decision to stop living in the past and stop projecting into the future. It is the choice to return moment after moment to the only space where your power exists, now. Most men live in fragments. Their minds are fractured. Some part of them is still reliving yesterday's mistake, while another is obsessing over tomorrow's outcome. But the man who is fully alive today, this moment, this breath, he holds more power in his stillness than 1,000 men who are scattered in their minds. To act like nothing can break you, you must bring your whole self into every moment. This does not mean you will always have all the answers. It means you are no longer running from yourself. You are no longer hiding behind distraction. You are facing what is here. You are meeting life as it is, not as you wish it to be. This, my friend, is where transformation begins, not in control, but in contact, not in denial, but in deep awareness. Let me speak to you now of integrity, not as the world sees it, but as the soul demands it. Integrity is not about image, it is about alignment. It is living in such a way that your actions are not at war with your values, that your words are not louder than your example, that your strength is not based on appearances but on authenticity. When you live in integrity, you move with ease. Why? Because you are no longer pretending. You are no longer at odds with yourself. You have nothing to hide, nothing to defend, and in that freedom you become truly powerful. The man who lacks integrity, no matter how wealthy or admired, is divided within. He is split between who he pretends to be and who he knows himself to be. And that internal fracture weakens him, drains him, haunts him. But you are being called to something higher, a life that is so honest, so aligned, that peace becomes your default setting. And when peace becomes your baseline, nothing can shake you for long. You do not need to control the world because you have mastered the one thing that matters, yourself. You will be tempted often to abandon your path. You will be tempted to betray your own standards to please others, to gain temporary relief, or to avoid discomfort. Do not. You will pay for every compromise. You may not see it today, but you will feel it in your soul tomorrow. The world may not notice your slip, but you will, and that is what matters. Because your relationship with yourself is the foundation upon which every other aspect of your life rests. Do not cheapen that foundation. Build it with care. Fortify it with truth. You are not here to play the same game as everyone else. You are not here to prove your worth to those who refuse to see it. You are here to embody something greater, and that requires restraint. It requires grace. It requires the kind of inner conviction that says, even if no one sees the work I'm doing, I will still do it, because I am not doing it for applause. I am doing it for alignment. You're not building a brand, you are building a life that reflects the depth of your spirit, the strength of your mind, the clarity of your purpose. And this life will require choices, hard choices. You will have to walk away from comfort. You will have to disappoint people who expect you to stay small. You will have to embrace silence when others beg for reaction. But in every one of those moments, you become more powerful because you become more you. So, I say again, presence is your power. When you are fully here, no fear can steal your mind. No insult can pierce your peace. No chaos can command your attention. You are centered, grounded, locked in, not with intensity, but with grace. And that grace will carry you further than any performance ever could. There will come a moment in your journey, a quiet, pivotal moment, when you will be required to walk alone, not because the world is against you, but because the world cannot walk the path you are meant to carve. And in that moment, you must not flinch. You must not ask the wind for direction or look around for permission. You must stand where you are, with all your doubts, with all your fears, and still say, I move forward. This is the courage of one who has decided to live unbreakably, not loudly, not perfectly, but with an unwavering spirit. The greatest growth often occurs in silence, not when surrounded by praise or handshakes, but in solitude, when you are alone with your thoughts, your choices, and your calling. Many run from solitude. They fill their days with noise, with endless motion, with the distractions of modern life. But you, if you are wise, will come to see that solitude is not isolation, it is elevation. It is the sacred space where clarity visits, where distractions fall away, where you meet the real you, not the version shaped by crowds, but the one forged by purpose. And once you have met yourself in solitude, once you have looked in the mirror and said, this is who I am and this is where I go, you become unshakable. You no longer need validation. You no longer shrink under judgment because you know what you stand for. You know why you wake up in the morning. You know that your mission is not to be liked, it is to be aligned. And when you are aligned, you walk with a kind of quiet thunder. You speak less, but your voice carries further. You need less, but you offer more. You retreat less and advance with calm, deliberate power. Let others call it pride. Let others call it ego. Let them misunderstand your silence and mistake your stillness for weakness. They do not need to understand. What matters is that you are no longer negotiating your identity. You are no longer watering yourself down to be digestible to others. You have made a pact with your higher self, and that pact is sacred. It is unshakable. It says, no matter what happens out there, I remain grounded in here. You will not always be understood, but if you are always in integrity, you will always be at peace. And that peace is worth more than popularity, more than applause, more than momentary approval from the crowd, for crowds are fickle. The world changes its mind daily, but peace, the kind that lives in your chest when your head hits the pillow at night, that kind of peace cannot be bought, borrowed, or faked. It must be earned, and it is earned when you begin living a life of uncompromising truth. Every time you act in alignment with that truth, even when it costs you, even when it hurts, even when it's lonely, you are building a legacy. Not a legacy of noise, but of depth. Not a legacy of trophies, but of character. You may not see it now, but others will follow the trail you leave behind. They will feel the echo of your footsteps in their own silent battles. They will say, because he stood, I can stand. Because she did not break, and that, my friend, is a kind of success that time cannot tarnish. You see, acting unbreakable is not just for you. It is for those watching, those who are silently seeking an example of what is possible. You become a lighthouse, unmoving in storms, guiding others home without ever chasing a ship. You don't force change, you embody it. And in doing so, you give others permission to rise, not by preaching, not by pushing, but by being the living proof that strength can be quiet, that peace can be powerful, that purpose can stand where noise falls. There is a stillness you carry now, one that was not there before, a knowing, a steadiness. The path may not be easy, but it is clear, and you, who once wondered if you were strong enough, now begin to realize strength was never the question. It was always there, waiting for your decision, waiting for your commitment, waiting for you to stop playing small and start standing tall. And now, here you are, not finished, but formed, not perfect, but powerful, not unscarred, but unshaken. So walk forward. Let your spine speak when your words are few. Let your silence make noise. Let your posture proclaim what your past tried to hide, that you are here to rise, to stand, to become the kind of person storms bow to, not the kind that bends to storms. And when people ask how you became so calm, so steady, so untouchable, you won't need to explain. You'll simply smile and keep walking. There is a sacred truth that life reveals only to those who have been through the storm. Resilience is not merely survival, it is rebirth. The world may knock you down time and time again, but the man who acts like nothing can break him does not just get back up, he gets back up better, stronger, wiser, sharper. The pain becomes polished, the wounds become windows. He does not return to who he was, he evolves. He becomes someone he never could have reached without the fire. This, my friend, is not suffering, it is sanctification. It is the art of rising. To become unbreakable is not to become immune to pain. It is to learn how to suffer without surrendering your spirit. It is to let every disappointment teach you discipline, to let every delay forge patience, to let every loss strip away your illusions until all that remains is truth, raw, radiant, and unstoppable truth. The truth of who you are when nothing is left to defend. That man, the one who rises from ashes without bitterness, is the man the world cannot hold down. You must begin to see setbacks not as failures, but as sacred invitations. Life is not punishing you. Life is preparing you to carry more, to endure more, to lead more. You say you want strength, but do you want the weight that builds it? You say you want peace, but are you willing to walk through chaos to earn it? You say you want to become unbreakable, then welcome the moments that test you, because it is only under pressure that iron becomes a sword, and it is only through resistance that wings are born. The greatest men who ever lived were not men of ease, they were men of endurance. They faced betrayal, loss, loneliness, and yet they did not become bitter. They became better, not by chance, but by choice. They refused to let pain harden them. They refused to let fear define them. They refused to let the world decide who they would be. And that refusal, that sacred defiance, is what made them great. You must carry that same fire. The quiet, steady refusal to stay broken. Even when the world tells you it's over, even when your circumstances scream that you've lost, even when your mind whispers that it's hopeless, you do not listen. You do not negotiate with despair. You rise, 1 inch, 1 breath, 1 decision at a time, not because it's easy, not because you feel ready, but because you have decided that no external force will have the final say over your internal world. And that decision, made in the dark, will change everything. You must learn to suffer well. That does not mean hiding your pain. It means using it, channeling it, letting it refine you instead of define you, letting it sharpen your vision instead of cloud it, letting it remind you that you are not entitled to an easy life. You are entrusted with the responsibility to rise regardless of life. When others quit, you stay. When others flee, you endure. When others break, you breathe. That is the power of a man who has chosen resilience. And understand this, resilience is not just about bouncing back, it's about springing forward. You do not return to the same spot. You do not rebuild who you were. You build a stronger version, a deeper version, a version that holds wisdom in his bones and fire in his eyes. That version is born only through resistance. Do not curse it. Thank it. Because resistance is your trainer, your teacher, your tempering flame. Every time you overcome, you carve into yourself a deeper confidence, the kind that can no longer be shaken, only strengthened. And now, I ask you, what would happen if you began to welcome adversity? Not chase it, but bless it. To say, if this is what it takes, then I am willing, not as a martyr, but as a master. What if you stopped looking at life through the lens of what it takes from you and started seeing what it's building in you? Suddenly, the rain becomes baptism, the darkness becomes gestation, the fall becomes foundation, and the comeback becomes inevitable. Because once you have suffered without breaking, once you have lost and still chosen love, once you have cried and still chosen clarity, you are no longer the same. You are more. Not more hardened, more open, not more closed off, more calm. And that calm, born from fire, is something no man can fake and no world can shake. It is earned, and you are earning it now. Walk forward then, not with the swagger of the invincible, but with the grace of the indestructible. Let life see you scarred but smiling, bent but rising, wounded but walking. For every step you take is a step in the resurrection of your truest self. And that resurrection, my friend, is what makes you unbreakable, not because nothing hurt you, but because nothing could kill your will to rise. Now that you understand how to rise, how to suffer well, how to walk through fire without losing the clarity of who you are, it is time to master one more virtue, the art of walking quietly with power. Not every strength must shout. Not every battle requires a blade. Some of the most formidable forces in this world move in silence. Water does not roar to shape the mountain. It moves with quiet persistence until the stone surrenders. You, too, must become like this, soft in tone, but unshakable in spirit, humble in posture, but royal in your decisions. To act like nothing can break you is not to become arrogant. It is to become deeply rooted in humility, the kind of humility that knows its worth so completely it has nothing to prove. The world is full of those who confuse loudness with power, They bark orders, inflate their egos, and chase recognition. But the truly powerful do not need the world to know. They are too busy becoming, too busy building, too busy living a truth so pure they have no time to decorate it with drama. And that truth is enough. You must learn to hold your power the way a king holds his crown, not with pride, but with presence, not with force, but with faith. You do not need to raise your voice when your integrity is your echo. You do not need to prove your strength when your resilience has already spoken. Let others seek validation, you seek alignment. Let others chase fame, you chase mastery. Let others announce who they are, you simply become it. Walk into every room with calm. Let your presence do the talking. Let your poise speak volumes. For the man who is calm in chaos, who listens before he speaks, who carries himself with honor no matter the circumstances, that man becomes unforgettable, not because he demanded attention, but because he embodied excellence, quietly, consistently, courageously. And when the storms come, as they always do, he does not tremble, because he has already seen darkness and found light within. He has already tasted loss and discovered love deeper than the pain. He has already bent to the pressure and discovered he could bend without breaking. So he no longer fears what tomorrow brings. His peace is not a performance. It is a posture, one earned not in comfort, but in conviction. There is a sacred kind of power in restraint, the ability to hold your energy, to know when to act and when to wait, to see everything and say nothing, to feel everything and still remain grounded. Restraint is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is choosing not to waste your fire on things unworthy of your flame. It is understanding that not every battle is yours, that silence at times is the loudest statement of all. And when others see this in you, this quiet command, this non-reactive strength, they may call it mystery. They may wonder what makes you different. But you will know. You will know it was not one moment that made you. It was every small decision to remain calm, every choice to stay true, every moment you refused to betray your peace. That's what built you. And now you wear that power not like armor, but like air, present, essential, and unseen. You see, when you no longer crave to be noticed, you begin to be respected. When you stop announcing your goals and start living them in silence, you become unstoppable. When your strength no longer seeks attention, it begins to expand quietly, permanently. Like roots beneath a tree that never seeks the sky but still reaches it eventually. Legacy is not built in moments of noise. It is built in days of discipline. It is carved into time by men and women who choose consistency over chaos, purpose over popularity, and principle over performance. You are becoming one of those, and one day, when they ask how you did it, you will not need a speech. Your life will be the answer. Your calm will be the memory. Your presence will be the legacy. You must now understand, to act like nothing can break you is to move like the mountain, unshaken by winds, patient in storms, eternal in posture. Let your roots go deeper now. Let your voice soften. Let your gaze grow clearer. You are no longer reacting. You are radiating. You are no longer surviving. You are shaping. You are no longer just walking. You are walking in power. And now, my friend, we arrive at the final truth. Not an ending, but a beginning. Not a conclusion, but a call. You have walked with me through the fires of resistance, through the inner sanctum of self-command, through the sacred halls of silence and presence. You have learned that to act like nothing can break you is not an act of pretending, but an act of remembering. A remembering of who you were before the world told you who to be. A remembering of the power that has lived within you all along, waiting for the day you would no longer deny it. This is that day. This is the turning point. This is the silent moment that will separate your past from your future, not because anything magical happens here, but because you decide. You decide to no longer shrink. You decide to no longer react. You decide to live from your center, from your truth, from your vision. And from this moment on, you become the unbreakable one, not because you never fall, but because you never stay down. You must walk now, not fast, not loud, but forward. Forward into the life that only the unshaken can build. A life rooted in clarity. A life guided by principle. A life that whispers strength when others yell for attention. This is the life of the Master. And you, through every choice, through every act of presence, are becoming one. Quietly, consistently, steadily. You will meet challenges, yes, but you will no longer tremble. You will face doubt, yes, but you will not obey it. You will encounter moments when you are tempted to slip back into old ways of thinking, of reacting, of seeking validation. But now you will pause, you will breathe, you will remember, I am not who I was, I am who I decide to be. And you will decide to hold your ground, not to impress anyone, but to stay in alignment with the person you are building. Because that person, the real you, is not built in one great leap, but in thousands of quiet decisions. To speak only when needed, to walk with grace even when offended, to remain still even in chaos, to show up fully even when tired, to act strong even when uncertain. These are the bricks of your fortress. These are the lines in your legacy, and the world, though it may not always applaud them, will be changed by them. Never underestimate the quiet revolution you are creating. Every time you choose peace over panic, focus over frenzy, discipline over distraction, you are leading. You are leading not from a stage, but from the soul. You are teaching not with words, but with example. You are giving others permission to rise, not by pulling them, but by showing them it's possible. And that is the rarest kind of leadership, to walk in such a way that your footsteps become permission slips for others to remember who they are. Do not doubt the impact of your presence. You may never know the lives you change simply by remaining calm in a world addicted to chaos. You may never hear the thank you whispered by someone who saw you endure with grace. But your strength is not diminished by lack of recognition. It is deepened. Because it is real. And what is real does not need validation to exist. It only needs consistency to thrive. And so I leave you with this final reminder. You are already enough. You do not need to become someone else. You only need to strip away what you are not. Peel back the layers of fear, of pretense, of doubt. Beneath them all is the real you, strong, centered, unshaken. Act from that place. Speak from that place. Build from that place. And let the world do what it will. For you are no longer waiting for the world to give you peace. You are bringing peace into the world, one breath, one moment, one choice at a time. Let others live loud, you live rooted. Let others chase noise, you walk in presence. Let others seek to be seen, you seek to become. And in doing so, you become unforgettable, not because you shouted, but because you stood. Not because you demanded, but because you demonstrated. Not because you tried to appear unbreakable, but because you simply refused to break. This is who you are now, not someday, now, in this breath, in this decision, in this stillness. So walk forward, calmly, confidently, courageously. You are no longer acting, you are being. And nothing can break a man who lives from that truth.